And a quick back of the envelope test for the audience to determine whether or not it's a skill or an attribute is to ask the question or questions, can I teach it or can it be taught? Okay, if the answer is yes, it's probably a skill. If the answer is no, it's probably an attribute. The example would be, AJ and Johnny, you say to me, Rich, I want to learn how to shoot a gun, a pistol, and hit a bullseye every time. Well, I could take both of you out to the range and teach you how to do that within a couple hours. That's a skill. But if you say, Rich, we want to be more patient, okay, I can't teach you patience, right? Both of you would have to go find, you'd have to be self-motivate, self-direct, and then go find experiences and situations that test and tease and develop your patience, whatever those are. So I don't know, you go to the grocery store and pick the longest line to stand in every time. I don't know what that is, or drive deliberately in traffic, but you have to find them.
So how can we create in our own lives opportunities for us to develop these attributes and identify the areas that might not be worth developing? Because there's so many attributes in the book, right? And of course, there are members of our audience who want to be at a 10 on every one of them. And some of that time and energy spent is just not really helpful for them. So how do you differentiate and determine, oh, these are attributes that I want to continue to develop and work on, and you know what? I'm happy with where this is set. It's getting me results in my life, and I can move on.
Well, okay, so a couple of things there to unpack. First of all, the audience has to understand that it's impossible to be at a 10 on all of them, right? It's just impossible, right? We can't, okay? The second thing is being a 10 on any of them is probably a bad thing. Too much of anything is probably a bad thing. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to really look and do some real thoughts on if there's any of these attributes that, like, having too much of is not a bad thing, right? Because even courage, I mean, too much courage, this is why, you know, and so there's an assessment tool on the website, and we put that on there, and I wanted to design it, and I wanted to put it on there for free so people could actually do it whenever they want it, but it'll give you a kind of a score on where you stand on the grit attributes, the mental acuity attributes, and the drive attributes. And the idea behind the assessment is that when you take it, that you have to really kind of introspect quite a bit. You have to think about it as you answer the questions and really answer them honestly. And then even when you get your score, the score is going to be kind of a score in comparison to the data pool that we got the data, right? So if you're a level 8 on adaptability, you're a level 8 as compared to this 1,000 group of people that we. So even those answers need to be kind of thought through and say, okay, how does this apply? Does this make sense to me? This is a little bit different than some of the other tests out there, right? The strengths finders and the personality. This is my assessment tool, and the attributes assessment tool is completely different because it's really designed for you to think about and figure out who you are, you know, versus be told. Right. I can't tell you. I just can't tell you. So you know, for your audience members who are kind of highly motivated and really want to do the best they can, first it takes the introspection to say, okay, where do I stand? Then, okay, given the contexts of my goals, what are the ones that I need a preponderance of? And then based on those two lists, I say, okay, where am I really doing well? Okay, I'm on level 8 on like 7 out of 10 of these things. These 3 though, I'm a little bit low. Okay, I'm gonna actively work to develop these three, right? And then develop them to the extent where they're kind of good. I mean, you're not gonna get, I don't think, and again, I'm not a psychologist and I have to do this, you know, there's not a lot of research on this. I'm not sure you can get to a level of unconscious competence in an attribute that you're lower on. I think you're only going to be able to get to a conscious competence where you're okay at it, but you have to think about it every time. And in fact, it might also be somewhat contextual. So for example, if you are impatient and then you have kids, okay, and you learn, and the kids inevitably teach you patience, right? Hopefully, because they're like, okay, I know how I can be patient. I've developed my patience with my kids. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be patient with other people's kids. Okay, I mean, so it can be somewhat contextual. Developing an attribute could be somewhat contextual. It takes work and takes effort. And so just people have to understand that there's always going to be conscious thought involved and work that needs to be put in, and it's a highly introspective process.